I'm John Allison. I'm the director of the Morgan County Archives here in Decatur, Alabama. Water, and particularly the Tennessee River and all its tributaries, is absolutely crucial to the development of the city of Decatur and the entire area here. Particularly the Tennessee River is the reason Decatur is where it is. Its position above the Muscle Shoals has always been very important. It became an area where Native Americans for about 15,000 years used this area as a fishing camp, and they derived a great deal of their nourishment from the river. Of course, transportation up and down the river, and some of the larger creeks here like Flint Creek has just been absolutely crucial, and it's the reason the city is where it is, and it's been very determinative of our identity. The early settlers in this area, after the Native Americans who were here, they were attracted to the land here. It was well watered. It was great for agriculture in that regard, as well as transportation of getting agricultural products to market. For quite a lot of time, when the roads were well nigh impassable, people could still use water transportation. The river was always, however, sort of a fickle friend in the early days because it frequently flooded. Of course, that would replenish soil in some of the agricultural lands, but it also meant mosquitoes. So it was, and it also could wash out crops. So it was always both a blessing and a curse before the Tennessee Valley Authority in the 1930s and 40s sort of tamed the river. You can't overestimate the value of the Tennessee Valley Authority to this area. The TVA not only tamed the river for navigational purposes, prevented flooding, but the TVA also developed the waterfront and waterfront facilities. The dams provided hydroelectric power for thousands of people in the Tennessee Valley, including Morgan County and Decatur. The river, of course, and transportation-wise, made Decatur very crucial during the American Civil War, it was actually, the town changed hands 9 times during the war because of that. Although we never had any real major battles here, it was a crucial area. It became a big part of Sherman's strategy to supply his march across Georgia, because Decatur both had a north-south railroad and an east-west railroad here, as well as the Tennessee River. And that same position above the Muscle Shoals meant that if you could defend Decatur, you could defend anything going up and down the Tennessee River. Because of our position on the river, Decatur was also the terminus for the very first railroad that was west of the Allegheny Mountains. It was a small line called the Tuscumbia, Cortland, and Decatur Railroad, and it was specifically designed for river traffic. A lot of early planters financed it as a means of getting their cotton to the markets in Memphis and New Orleans, because you could not go through those Muscle Shoals, so that little railroad would take passengers and freight from Decatur around the Muscle Shoals to Tuscumbia. We've talked about the river being important for very practical reasons, but it's also, I think, very close to everyone's heart in this area. The recreation on the river, both fishing and swimming and boating. People have always just looked to the river for their identity, that we're a river culture, and I think that that's something that is always going to be very important to Decatur in particular.
My name is Shannon Fuller-Keith, and I am the Alabama president for the Trail of Tears Association, and we are the liaison association between the Cherokee Nation and the National Park Service. I can say that I have Native American ancestry due to my family's story of having a reservation letter. Most of the people who had reservation letters gave up their citizenship into the tribe. And so you have people definitely in our areas who gave up that citizenship, who have descendants who are still here. So water is life. When you're born, first comes water out of your mother's womb, and then life comes out of the mother's womb. And so life is water. Water sustains life. It holds the seed of life and allows life to form before it is birthed. Water is really a living being, and most of the elders that I have spoken with about water, or traditional Cherokee people, traditional Native people, talk about the significance of water being a type of a collective conscious, if you will. The Cherokee traditionally called it the lung man, or the lung person without gender. Locally, the Tennessee River still holds many secrets and clues to the Native American ancestors in this area and to the people and the culture. We know about burials, we know their locations, we know they were burying with the shells, shell mounds in this area. We find artifacts along the waterways, in the waterways. That's why they're very protected and patrolled, because we want to keep those objects sacredly hidden by the river. And the river was a very important part of their lives of transportation. There were obviously trade routes that were water-based in North Alabama, where different cities and villages could trade with each other. And so the waterways were extremely important. Food, raising crops, and water access for crops, fishing, the shells that were used in so many different uses, household, pottery, jewelry. So the river was life. The river was important in sustaining life. And then culturally, their religion, their spirituality was steeped in the water and what the water provided. The city of Decatur, in conjunction with the Trail of Tears Association, the National Park Service, and the Cherokee Nation, has established a trailhead in Rhodes Ferry Park. And the trailhead marks the beginning of the removal trail from here to Tuscumbia Landing in Tuscumbia, Alabama. And this was the site where Cherokee were brought in on steamboats and flat bottom boats being removed westward on the Trail of Tears. And there were roughly 3,000 Cherokee who were removed through Decatur. They traveled down the waterway, which is traditionally a very sacred place for them, but this water was taking them west. So Decatur was a point of journeying west. The West is known as, or thought of as, a place of death. The sun rises in the east, it sets in the west. And so for Decatur to be that spot in this journey westward, it's a very important moment in their time period and in this place, and it makes this place very special.
My name's Carlton Bridgeforth. I'm a partner in Bridgeforth Farms. We're a fifth-generation farm based out of Tanner, Alabama. On Bridgeforth Farms, we grow cotton, wheat, corn, soybean, canola, and grain sorghum. We farm just shy of 10,000 acres. Originally, my family descended from slavery, and that's how we began farming. I'm a fifth-generation farmer, and basically, this area was picked because it was prime farming country. Originally, my family were loggers and farmers, and this area had both. And basically, when cardboard came on the scene and plastics substitutes, we had to go full-time into farming, and we've been doing that ever since. We consider ourselves a family farm. I mean, we might be a corporate farm because of our way we structure our taxes to reduce our risk, but I mean, the partners in the business are family members, so we consider ourselves a family farm. Water is the difference between making money and not making money. If you don't have water, you will not have a crop. If you don't have a crop, personally, that means less money you can put into equipment, less money you can put into labor, less money you can put into technology to better your business and keep on farming the next year. It's not as bad as you will not be farming next year, but it makes it that much harder to stay a profitable business the preceding year. So it's essential. You have Gavilon that's based here, you have Bungie, you have AFC. These are places that we sell our grain to so that we can make some money. And from here it goes to New Orleans. And from New Orleans it goes all over the world. From a profit standpoint, we've literally positioned ourselves as close to the river as possible, as close to these multinational corporations as possible, because our transit costs are lower than if we had to come from Kentucky to drive it here, or Georgia. So of course they have their own elevators, but for us it just makes it a little bit easier to drop it off here this close to the river. I truly believe agriculture is one of the top 3 business sectors in North Alabama. And you have a wealth of opportunities here, from engineering to defense contractors to NASA, and farming and agriculture specifically has historically been a big money driver for a lot of the surrounding counties in North Alabama. So, I mean, if you say employees on the farm, equipment providers, chemical providers, seed providers, if you want to talk about custom work with people who fix fields in terms of drainage, people who set up irrigation, people who set up all manner of things that help us make money in terms of farming, I'd have to say that we're one of the top 3 businesses, top 3 business sectors in North Alabama.
My name's Judy Beavans, and my husband is Leon Beavans, and we have been married for 57 years, and we've fished that whole 57 years. And we have our own little fish market, and he is the last commercial fisherman in the Decatur limestone area. We commercial fish for a living, and that's what we've always done. We just always worked on the river. Our families worked on the river, and my stepdaddy, my uncles, and my husband's family. And so that's what we've always done. That's all we knew was river. And it's been good to us. I said, that's free to go out and get it. You just got to get out there and get it, and it's some hard work too. But we bait the lines in the evenings and put them back out. He puts them back out in the afternoons, goes back the next morning, and same whole thing the next day. But that's something you got to do, and it's a lot of history. People don't know about that kind of stuff. They have no idea how hard it is. It's really a hard job. He gets up and goes to the river in the morning. He's on the river by daylight, and we fish about 4 nights a week. And then he brings the fish in, and we dress the fish. We box them, put them in our cooler, keep them iced down. We have customers that comes there. We also have one wholesale dealer that we take to in Mississippi. On Thursdays, I do that. I'm the haulee, and I'm a gopher. Anyway, well, we just work together. You know, we've always worked together. I'm still proud that we can fish. I thank God every day that we're still able to work. He's 74 and I'm 70. We still have to work. But we enjoy working. If we sit down, what would we do? People says, won't you retire? Well, we don't, you know, that's our job. We've fed a lot of people in these last few years. We've had our fish market for 19 years. We have good customers, you know, they love us. And some people say, well, I love coming here because of the environment. We just love coming, you know, we love y'all. And we try to treat our people like family, we do. I love the river, and he does too. We do, and I respect it. Some of the most beautiful sunsets you'll ever see in your life. It's breathtaking. I've got a lot of them I took on my camera. They're so beautiful. And when I go out, I say, especially in the fall or the springtime, that's my favorite time, you know, and I say, thank you, God, for showing this to me. And you make special memories, you know, it's just special memories. And like him, that's all he knows, and that's what he likes. He loves it. We do, we love the river.
I'm Frances Tate, and I do watercolor painting of Old Town Decatur using water from the Tennessee River. I've been doing this for 3 years in order to leave a legacy of this historical area. My career was telephone company, and after I retired from the telephone company, I did contract work with other telephone companies for about 3 years, and I had a chance to travel all over the United States. And I was so impressed, especially how the Native Americans preserved their history. And other communities, how they had put together and preserved their history. And when I came back, I thought, well, you know, we can do the same thing. Why haven't we done it? Why haven't we done it? Somebody need to do it. And I decided that is what I'm going to devote the rest of my life to, is to create a legacy. I saw a picture at the City Hall, and it said, it's beautiful, Churches of Decatur, Alabama. And I've been in that City Hall 100 times and never noticed that picture. But for some reason that day it struck me. And I turned around and looked back, and I thought, that is gorgeous. But that is not one church that's in Old Town on that picture. I said, someone needs to do something about this. And it's clear as day. He said, why not you? And I said, I can't do that. And my conscience just would not leave me. Say, yes, you can. So I decided I'm going to do it. You know, I had this vision years ago. Never thought about it. Right before I retired, I had the same vision. And it involved painting. So I decided that I had to learn how to paint. So before I started to learn how to paint, I was going to employ students from the local college. Then I realized, you know, you need to learn how to paint and draw. You need to know what they have to do in order to do your product. I do have some photographs, and I do have to use my memory, because some of the houses, I remember exactly how they look. And some of the photos I may get the photo of a front door. Then I add the rest of the house to it. And some of it, the pictures are old. You cannot see a lot of the beautiful architectural work there. And so I will try to go to an older person, say, what did this house look like? What did the top look like? What did she have on her porch, you know? So that's what I do. I do from photos and from memories. To me, the water is symbolic, simply because this little community is sitting right on the water. And it is the foundation of the city of Decatur. And people do not realize this is the first community that was ever established in the city of Decatur. This little community, I feel like, just has been forgotten. And I don't think it should be. It has such rich history. And I just want to open a dialogue so people can start learning the rich history of this little old bitty community that's a part, it's made the city what it is today. We still have all 16 or 15 of the old structures. When urban renewal came through, a lot of the old houses that you're going to see, they're gone. That's my purpose, to bring them back. So 100 years from now, people will know what Old Town looked like. In my watercolors, when I think of the Tennessee River, you will always have a piece of the community when you look at this art. And you always have a piece of that Tennessee River, which is just a wonderful resource for us, and always has been. So you're going to have this resource, and also you will have a piece of the community. That's why I feel the water is so important for me to use with my art.